Good afternoon, my friends. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel, my friends. Let me introduce myself. My name is Andre Lefevre, and I like to mouth off on things political, things cultural, things interesting. Today we will talk about the Washington, D.C. intrigues, the palace intrigue, the Capitol Hill intrigues. It's heating up and it's extremely interesting. It appears that finally Donald Trump has gathered enough momentum and no longer the deep state, Mueller and his crew, Democrats, and RINOs in the Congress are on the attack. Now they are on the defensive. I have a video clip I'm going to play you and a couple of stories from the Washington, D.C. From the Washington, D.C. swamp about the swamp creatures holding on to what's slipping away from them. Power. It's about power. Before we get into the stories, I want to remind you I have a website, worldnews.us, and as you can see, I have crowdfunding buttons out there. Please donate so I'll be able to report much better. I'd like to update my video computer equipment and buy some professional studio equipment. Anyways, let's get into the meat of things. I am on Gateway Pundit. Give me a second here. A story, as you can see. Republican Matt Gaetz, and he's a Republican member of Congress from Illinois' 1st District, drops bomb on Ryan. Today was the first time I heard the lawmakers call for removing Speaker Ryan. I'm going to play you the video in a few minutes, but before going there is another story that I found very interesting, and here it is. Let it load. Senate Majority Leader McConnell cancels most of the August recess, prevents President Trump from replacing AWOL Attorney General Sessions. Let me read some of that story. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell canceled most of the Senate recess in August, announcing that the Senate had work to do. This is a given, but he also may have done it to prevent the president from replacing corrupt and inept Attorney General Sessions. According to The Hill, in quotation marks, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, announced Tuesday that he would cancel most of the August recess, allowing him to keep vulnerable Democrats off the campaign trail months before the midterm elections. McConnell said 3 weeks in August was necessary of historic obstruction by Democrats, arguing the chamber needs to play catch-up on confirming President Trump's nominees and funding the government. We have a lot of important work to do. The president made it quite clear he doesn't intend to sign any other omnibus, and in order to prevent that, obviously we should do our work, which is to pass individual appropriation bills. McConnell told reporters under McConnell plan senators will be on break on the week of August 6th before returning to Washington the following week and staying in session the rest of the month. Senators were previously expected to leave town on August 3 and not return early in September after Labor Day. It is clear that McConnell's worthless Senate has much work to do, but it is more likely that McConnell is canceling the majority of the Senate recess to prevent the president from replacing his ultra-worthless and crooked Attorney General Sessions. For a year now, McConnell has blocked President Trump from replacing Sessions during recess. For him now to claim he's holding the Senate in session to get the work done is not preventing a recess appointment of the new AG is doubtful. Couple of things. If the Senate is not in session, Trump can simply fire Sessions and put a temporary appointment, temporarily appoint his replacement, subject to the later Senate approval, of course. When the Senate is in session, the way the rules and the Constitution is, he really can't do it. Also, McConnell is a very interesting RINO. His wife is the member of the Trump's cabinet, but her family is neck deep in the with the Chinese, doing business with the Chinese communists. She is Chinese, and her family is Chinese. The money that originally McConnell got to get where he is came from her family. So it appears that McConnell is bought and paid for by the communist Chinese government. At least that's what it appears like. If I have time, I may do a video just on him. Now, let's go back to the previous clip, because that's an interesting story. Representative Matt Gaetz drops bomb on Paul Ryan. Today was the first time I heard lawmakers call for removing Speaker Ryan video. And of course, we all know that Ryan has publicly claimed that there is no merit in Donald Trump's assertions that he was spied upon illegally by the U.S. government at the behest of the previous administration. The reality is that apparently Trump has turned the tables on that slow-moving coup d'etat that Deep State was attempting to perpetrate upon him. And the RINOs and the Deep Staters are feeling the heat. And you can't get any more Deep State than Paul Ryan. Let me play you the video.
I've come on your show before and defended Paul Ryan when I've agreed with him, but there is no defense today for Paul Ryan siding with the FBI and Department of Justice against those of us in the Congress who are working for transparency and accountability. Devin Nunes, for example, has been asking for a year for the documents that go to the very heart of this Trump-Russia hoax. As we sit here today, Lou, members of Congress have not seen the documents that show why this investigation even began. But here's what we know. That Australian diplomat, Mr. Downer, he lied. He said this information came through the Australian ambassador to the United States and that's how it got to the FBI, and we found out that isn't true. So one liar gave information to Peter Strzok, who's already had to be demoted because he's like the head of the Never Trump movement over at the Deep State. And there is no way any criminal prosecution could ever be brought against this president based on the bias and the mishandling of evidence. But instead of our speaker standing with us and putting the focus on the FBI's refusal to turn over documents so that we could perform our oversight duties, instead he was defending the FBI. And that's deeply frustrating to me, and we need the speaker to be an institutionalist for the Congress, not to be a defender of the Deep State.
And he is that. And he is a defender of K Street and Wall Street and the Koch brothers. The man has sold out. He's been obviously sold out for years. And we just wanted to check the record. And let me ask you, can you think of a time that the speaker has been compelled to say there's no evidence of collusion whatsoever, despite financing a one-year investigation by the FBI, almost a year, and more than a year of the general counsel? I can't remember a single time that he stood up and defended the president and said there is no evidence whatsoever of collusion, and that deeply troubles me.
The House Intelligence Committee stood up and said that there was no evidence of collusion. We need the speaker to do the same. Another area, Lou, is to have real accountability when it comes to the crimes of the Clinton family and the Clinton Foundation. We have the majority leader, the majority whip, Mr. Mr. Gowdy even, Mr. Goodlatte, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, all calling for a second special counsel, and the silence from our very own speaker is deafening. Speaker Ryan needs to step up. He needs to join us in a call for a second special counsel, and for goodness sakes, stop defending the FBI's collection of intelligence on the Trump campaign when they refuse to give us the documents to show whether or not they broke the law. We already know the FBI and Department of Justice broke their own procedures. Bruce Orr broke procedures when he didn't disclose that his wife had a moonlighting job for the people at Fusion GPS trying to take down Trump. We know that Rod Rosenstein violated the Woods procedures before the FISA court when he didn't disclose that Christopher Steele had been terminated by the FBI for lying, and yet they were asking a court to continue to rely on his statements. So time and again, we need stronger leadership from our speaker, supporting the work of those of us who are fighting in the trenches to get real answers for the American people.
Let me ask you, Congressman, why in the world would your conference not say that's enough? Mr. Lame Duck Speaker, get the hell out of the office. You're going to send us to perdition and to destruction in the midterm elections. This man doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a strategy. He doesn't raise money that any other speaker couldn't raise. He certainly is not a strategic thinker. He is anti-Trump. He has been so throughout. He is a disaster, and the disaster is going to consume your party. Do you not agree? If he is locked in that speakership.
Well, Lou, you know I run in the more conservative circles of the House, and I have never, up until this point, heard a single person talk about removing Speaker Ryan from the speakership. Today, for the first time, I was hearing colleagues say, well, you know, if Speaker Ryan won't stand with us in this fight over the essentials of our democracy, not weaponizing an intelligence community against a presidential campaign, you know, do we need to look at other choices? And so I think that remains a lingering question, and you're starting to see more frustrations bubble to the top because we need that leadership.
Congressman Matt Gaetz, great to have you with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lou.
All right, so that was that very interesting story. It's self-explanatory. We're pushing back. They're pushing back the fact that McConnell and Ryan are now openly defending the deep state shows that the lines have been drawn, and the deep state are now on the defense. Let me find this story. I think it was from Washington Times. Here we go. This is also an interesting story. This is from Washington Times. This is from today. Trump urges DOJ to reject DNC IT staffer plea deal. And let me read you some of that story. Our Justice Department must not let Awan and Debbie Wasserman Schultz off the hook. President Donald Trump on Twitter Thursday urged the Department of Justice not to accept a plea agreement from a former IT aide to congressional Democrats who are being prosecuted in a scheme to fraudulently obtain home equity loans. Imran Awan, who worked for Democratic lawmakers, included Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat of Florida, is said to be in talks to strike a plea in agreement in this case. Mr. Awan and his wife Hina Alvi are accused of obtaining home equity lines of credit from the Congressional Federal Credit Union by giving false information about two properties and sending the money to individuals in Pakistan, their nation of origin. Both face federal bank fraud and conspiracy charges. They have pleaded not guilty to the charges. But Mr. Trump alleged that Mr. Awan is trying to make a plea deal to protect Ms. Wasserman Schultz and keep federal investigators from accessing the hacked computer server that handled emails from DNC. Conservatives have claimed that the server has evidence that the DNC and the Obama administration Justice Department tried to limit the scope of FBI's investigation into presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's secret email account. Our Justice Department must not let Awan and Debbie Wasserman Schultz off the hook the president tweeted. The Democrat IT scandal is a key to much of the corruption we say today. They want to make a plea deal to hide what is on their server. Where is the server? Really bad. A plea agreement hearing for Mr. Awan and Mr. Alvi is scheduled for July 3rd before the federal judge in Washington, D.C. court. A court filing earlier this week did not reveal the any details about possible agreement, but did say the parties are currently exploring a resolution to this matter. Mr. Trump tweeted about the case in the past. In April, Mr. Trump referred to Mr. Awan as Pakistan mystery man and accused him and Ms. Wasserman Schultz of having the missing Clinton emails. He also mentioned Mr. Awan in an interview in the New York Times, saying whatever happened in this Pakistan guy has worked for DNC. Federal investigators first looked into Mr. Awan in early 2017 after allegations surfaced that he has stolen computer equipment and assessed sensitive systems. He was fired by most Democrat lawmakers in February, but Ms. Wasserman Schultz kept him on the payroll until he was arrested in July 2017. This is another dirty swamp creature story, and that implicates DNC, David Wasserman Schultz, who was the head of DNC for a period of time until it was disclosed that she fixed the elections by basically illegally throwing the elections towards Hillary Clinton. It's interesting that Donald Trump, by tweeting this, reignited this news cycle on this story again. The deep state, the Democrats, the libs are on the defensive now. And I have a suspicion that it is a strategic plan of the Trump's crew. First, turn the tables and keep on pounding at them. Would love to see a special investigator appointed to look into Uranium One, look into the spying on the president, illegal FISA warrants, and of course would love to see a special prosecutor look into the Hillary Clinton corruption. This is it for today. Again, don't forget to visit my website, worldnews.us, and I'd appreciate any donations you can throw my way. As you can see, the crowdfunding buttons for it. Thank you again, and I will talk to you tomorrow. God bless you.